The alert tore through the neutral zone like a lightning strike. Sharp, frantic, impossible to ignore. Deep inside listening post Arden 6, the human operators froze as the encrypted alien broadcast forced its way onto every channel. Static crackled, lights dimmed, and then the message bled through. Terrified voices, metallic clanging, and a phrase repeated over and over in a panicked alien dialect. When the translation AI finally stabilized, the room went silent. Human juveniles acquired, transport secured, bargaining leverage obtained. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. No one breathed, no one moved. Then the alarms began screaming. Across the stars, far from human space, Commander Reltor jerked upright in his command chamber as the same message blared across Varkuan military networks. His crest stiffened in horror. A rogue faction, his own species, had kidnapped human children. Not soldiers, not officials, but children. He could already feel the consequences tightening around his throat. Reltor had studied humans for years. He knew exactly what they became when the safety of their young was threatened. Relentless, unstoppable, terrifyingly efficient. Whoever authorized this madness had just signed a collective death warrant. Reltor slammed his claws across the console, opening a direct line to his High Council. No answer. Political silence. Cowards. They wanted plausible deniability. They wanted him to clean up the mess. But this wasn't a mess. This was the spark of a war their empire would not survive. The commander's heart hammered with cold dread as he made a decision no sane Varkun had ever made. He plotted a course straight toward human territory, broadcasting a rare white flag code. He had to warn them before panic turned into retaliation. And if the humans had already begun mobilizing, then he was already too late. The news spread across the human colony like wildfire, and within minutes, the quiet settlement transformed into something unrecognizable. Parents who had been fixing breakfast were now fastening armor plates with shaking hands. Miners dropped their tools and ran toward the militia depot. Even the elderly stood in lines, demanding weapons. Humans did not collapse under fear. They sharpened it into resolve. On the command deck of Outpost Helion, Captain Mara Holt stared at the intercepted transmission. Her jaw locked tight. Children, their children, taken. She didn't shout, didn't flinch. She simply issued orders with the calm fury of a woman who had buried threats before. Initiate retrieval protocol, she said, and the room snapped into motion. The colony defense grid hummed to life. Gunships launched. Tactical drones scattered across the sky like a metallic swarm. The air vibrated with engines and the unmistakable tension of a species preparing to reclaim what was taken from them. Retrieval protocol wasn't a rescue operation. It was a promise. Humans had used it only twice in recorded history, both times ending with entire enemy factions erased. Mara oversaw every detail, her eyes ice-cold as she analyzed the rebel Varkuan coordinates. They thought abducting human kids would give them leverage. Instead, they'd become prey. Then, without warning, an alert flashed across the command screens, an alien vessel at the edge of the system, approaching under a white flag diplomatic code. A Varkuan ship. Mara narrowed her eyes. That wasn't bravery, that was desperation. When Commander Reltor requested immediate contact, her officers tensed, weapons ready. Mara stepped forward and opened the channel, her voice steady but lethal. You have 30 seconds to explain why a Varkuan ship dares come here today. Reltor's answer was immediate, strained, almost frantic. I'm here to stop a war you do not want, and my people cannot survive. Mara wasn't convinced, but she listened because every second wasted was a second her people's children remained in enemy hands. Reltor was escorted aboard under heavy guard, but the moment he stepped into the briefing chamber, he saw it, the unmistakable shift in the human atmosphere. They were already hunting. Captain Mara Holt didn't pace, didn't posture. She stood perfectly still, arms crossed, eyes sharp enough to cut through armor. Around her, holographic displays showed star maps, heat signatures, and tactical overlays updating in real time. Human operators moved with an eerie synchrony, silent, focused, predatory. Reltor had seen war rooms before, but never one that felt alive. Humans didn't plan rescues. They prepared exterminations. He laid out everything he knew. The rogue Varkuan faction, their hidden goals, their location on a shielded asteroid deep within an abandoned mining belt. Mara listened without blinking, but her jaw tightened when he mentioned the rebel leader. General Vrax, a fanatic who believed humans could be controlled by threatening their young. Reltor admitted that Vrax had no idea what he had provoked. He thinks he can negotiate, Reltor said quietly. He believes you will yield to protect your children. Mara leaned forward, voice low and cold. Then he's never met a human parent. Reltor felt a chill run down his spine. Together they analyzed the asteroid base, cloaking fields, rotating guard drones, narrow access tunnels designed for Varkuan physiology. It would be a difficult assault for any species, except the one standing in this room. Mara's strike teams were already deploying. Stealth gunships were en route, their engines silent. Drones streaked ahead, scanning for weak points. A squad of shock troopers rehearsed breach maneuvers, faces emotionless, movements precise. These weren't soldiers fueled by fear. They were fueled by fury sharpened into discipline. Reltor realized the truth with a sinking weight. The humans didn't need his help to win. They were letting him assist, so they could reach the children faster. And if he failed them, they would level the asteroid, and everything on it, without hesitation. The assault began with a silence so deep it felt unnatural. No warning shots, no declarations, just the sudden collapse of the asteroid facility's outer sensors as human drones sliced through their circuits like scalpels. Inside the rebel base, alarms stuttered to life, too late to matter. Mara's strike teams breached 3 entry points at once, moving with terrifying precision. Reltor stayed close behind them, guiding the squads past trap corridors and weak bulkheads, shouting coordinates as Varkuan rebels scrambled in confusion. They had prepared for negotiations, intimidation, maybe even a skirmish. They had not prepared for humans. A pair of shock troopers forced open a reinforced hatch with surgical speed, revealing a narrow chamber where terrified human children huddled together. 2 rebels stepped forward, holding their weapons shakily, hoping the threat would slow the humans down. It didn't. One trooper took a single step, visor glowing. His voice came out calm, soft, and lethal. Move, now. The rebels hesitated a moment too long. That was all it took. They were disarmed and pinned before the children even realized what happened. Reltor watched in awe as the children were gently lifted into the arms of armored soldiers who moments earlier had torn through steel like paper. The shift, from executioner to protector, was instantaneous and absolute. Only humans could embody such duality so effortlessly. But the mission wasn't over. General Vrax confronted them deeper inside the facility, sputtering furious threats about leverage and diplomacy. Mara stepped forward, helmet off, eyes burning with a rage held tightly in check. "You captured human children," she said, her voice carrying across the chamber like a blade. "Are you out of your mind?" Vrax tried to speak, but the strike team moved in around him, their judgment final. Minutes later, the children were safely aboard the evacuation shuttle. The rebel faction was dismantled, the asteroid facility was reduced to molten debris, and as the ships drifted away, Reltor realized the galaxy had just been reminded of an old truth. Humans were terrifying enemies, but unparalleled guardians.